Welcome all my children to the very first session of our ICSE Class 9 History and Civics. Through this video, we are going to begin the second lesson of our history textbook, that is regarding the Vedic period. There is a chapter name which we are going to discuss with. I hope that you might have gone through the previous first chapter video through the YouTube and through the NLP app. So here we begin the second chapter. As we know, Aryans were the first settlers of India. In India, Aryans were the first people who began to settle down, the first inhabitants of India. They are known as Aryans. So the period when Aryans first settled in India is known as early Vedic period. So there are two divisions, there are two sections for the division of Vedic period: early Vedic period and later Vedic period. So the period when Aryans first settled in India, that the time is known as early Vedic period. The time is between 1500 and 1000 BC. Then second, the later Vedic period, and the period between 1000 to 500 BC. That means when Aryans developed and started using iron and other metals is called later Vedic period. That means the time when Aryans began to develop and started using iron and other metal. That period, particular period, is known as later Vedic period. So these are the two different periods in the Vedic period: early Vedic period and later Vedic period. Now we are going to move the sources of Vedic period. There are mainly two different sources. There are mainly two different sources: literary sources and archaeological sources. These two are the most important sources of Vedic period. You can expect a question from this particular part: which are the sources of Vedic period? So these are the two sources, which are the literary sources and archaeological sources. So which are the literary sources? The Vedas and the epics. These are the literary sources. Iron and poetry are the archaeological sources. That's about the main sources. So now we will see detail each of the sources. These are the literary sources. These are the literary sources: Vedas and epics. Literary sources, Vedas and epics. Now we will study about literary sources. Now the Vedic texts are divided into two groups. The Vedic sources are divided into two texts, which are them early Vedic text and later Vedic text. The early Vedic text and the later Vedic text. Now we will see the meaning, literary meaning of the term Vedas. What are the literary meaning of the term Vedas? The Vedic literature was written in Sanskrit. Yes, the literature Vedas are written in Sanskrit. That is a language used for the writing of Vedas. The term Veda is derived from Sanskrit word Vid. Vid means knowledge. Keep in your mind the origin of the word Vedas. Vedas origin from the word Vid, which is a Sanskrit word, and that meaning of the Vid means knowledge. And the Vedic literature, which is origin from Sanskrit, is divided into two parts. The Vedic literature is divided into two parts, Shruti and Smriti. These are the two division of the Vedic literature. The Vedic literature is divided into two, Shruti and Smriti. Let's see. Shruti was given by gods to sages and they passed that knowledge orally. So, Shruti was a mode of knowledge which is orally sharing, which is orally passing, that they have got from the god to sages, some munis. And what about Shruti? So what is Smriti? Smriti was composed by rishis and sages. So these are composed by rishis and sages. These are the uttermost position of the munis or sannyasis. So I hope that you have got the meaning of uh, literary sources, the meaning of Vedas, Vedic literature, and the division of Vedic literature, the origin of the term Vedas. Now we will move to the next part, that the Vedic literature are classified into four categories. The Vedic literature, the Vedic literature have classified or divided into four categories, which are they? Four Vedas, the Brahmanas, the Aranyakas, and the Upanishad. You have to keep in your mind these are the four categories of Vedic literature. The four different categories of Vedic literature is what? The four categories of classification of Vedic literature is: first one, four Vedas; second one, the Brahmanas; third one, the Aranyakas; and the fourth one, the Upanishad. Now we will see all of them very detailed. First one, the Vedas. There are four Vedas. Some of the Vedas we have already discussed in the previous small classes. The Vedas, sources of knowledge, the uttermost way of getting knowledge, the Vedas. So there are four Vedas. Which are the four Vedas? Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda. These are the most important Vedas. Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, and Atharva Veda. Now, what's about Rig Veda? Rig Veda is the oldest religious text in the world. Rig Veda is the oldest religious text in the world. Hence, it is the first testament of mankind. It was the first knowledge, official knowledge that the human being have received from the God. This is a officially religious text in the world. So, if you ask about the which is the oldest religious text in the world, Rig Veda. Rig Veda is the oldest religious text in the world, and it was composed during the early Vedic period. So already we have discussed about the two different period of early Vedic and later Vedic period. So this Rig Veda was composed during the early Vedic period, and it contains the hymns, some of the praises dedicated by sages to the gods. These were some of the praiseworthy songs or hymns, some of the precious line which is praising to God by the sages. And this Rig Veda contains Gayatri mantra. We know that we usually used to sing the Gayatri mantras he utters the Gayatri mantras. So Rigveda contains Gayatri mantra. That is the most important point. Then second Veda is Sama Veda. Sama means sweet song or melody. It can be expected, which is the Veda that means or means sweet song or melody. Sama Veda means sweet song or melody. So these hymns are sung by the priests at time of sacrifice. These hymns are sung by the priests at the sacrifice. When the priests are performing the sacrifices, they used to sing the sweet songs or melody. That is about the Samaveda. Then Yajurveda, the third Veda is known as Yajurveda. It deals with the rituals and hymns recited during the performing yajnas. We know the yajnas when the rishis or munis are surrounded by a fire and have performing something. That is yajnas performed by the priest. So these are the songs or hymns which is using during the yajnas. Last Veda is Atharva Veda. It deals with magic and charm. Some of the magical hymns, magical lines used by the Vedic period. That is about the four Vedas: Rig Veda, Sama Veda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda. So, my dear children, please go through this video once again. Try to get the subject matter of the chapter, understand more about Vedic period, especially the four different categories and the division of Vedic period, meaning, and the most important sources. So, we will resume again in the next session soon. Thank you.